Hey, I'm Pastor Fred. We are in Romans 3 all week, so let's get back to it. Romans 3, we're going to do verses 21 and 22. We're going to be talking about the righteousness of God, right? Righteous, dude. It's like, it takes me right back to my heavy metal days, and the word righteous, we would talk about that, and we throw the word around and as something very cool. It's something that's like impressive. And when you start talking about impressive, when you start to talk about something that is just right, when it's on the money, we're getting closer to what God is talking about, because it means to be made right with God. So like the righteousness of God is the way that you are made acceptable to God. It is the being in that position, being in that relationship and again, it comes by Jesus dying for us. But again, we think a lot of the way is, as we talked about yesterday, to try to do the right things, to try to, sort of earn God's favor. And it's not about that at all. Paul says it this way in Romans 3, 21 and 22. Again, we talked about the law, shows us our sin. We get that knowledge of sin. We have a definition of it. But he says, but now, here's the big news. Here's the shocking thing, right? That this righteousness of God has been manifested. The righteousness of God has been manifested. And it's apart from the law. Okay? Although the law and the prophets bear witness to it. The righteousness of God through faith in Jesus Christ for all who believe. For all who believe. For there's no distinction. And we'll talk about that distinction tomorrow. So you got to come back for tomorrow. So I'm going to give a little bit of a cliffhanger here. So he says that there's this righteousness. And when you look at the Ten Commandments, it was all pushing towards that. The prophets we're talking about. There's going to be one who's going to give you a new heart. He's going to give you a new, right? You're going to take your heart of stone, Jeremiah says, give you a heart of flesh. Isaiah, right? Talking about this one who would be born, who is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and all of that. And how he is, God has not forgotten us. He's going to save us. And they were all testifying to it. They were all talking about it. And it's here. It's in Jesus. It's faith in Christ Jesus, believing, trusting that Jesus died for you, and it's just a matter of believing in Him. That's what it's about. And I remember when I first realized this and heard this, and when the Spirit was like, "Man, yeah, this is what it's about," because I was kind of raised to think if you do enough and if you're good enough, you'll get there. And that, my reaction to that was to shut down. My reaction to that was like, whoa, there's no way. There's no way. It's just impossible. But with God, it's possible, because it's not about me. Right? Doesn't mean that I want to sin, right? I think it's really the opposite. It creates in me a love for Him. It creates in me knowing this peace and this joy, knowing that He loves me, knowing that Jesus died for me. And that's what it means. I'm now right with God. The price has been paid. Anything that would separate me, anything that would accuse me, anything that would say, no, you don't belong, we can say, Jesus died for that. His blood paid the price for that. He went to the cross for that. He suffered. He suffered unspeakable things for that. This anguish, all His guilt, all His shame put on Him for us. We trust in that with everything. We give that our lives to that. That's what this is about. Because now I know nothing will separate me from His love, right? That's something that Paul says in Romans 8. You can go there and check that out. Nothing will separate us. He's paid the price. We are now God's people. He loves us. And so our follow through today, I want you to let somebody know about that freedom. Get them off that treadmill of having to always be enough and good enough and do all the right things. No, that desire to do the right things comes after we've been saved. It comes after we know in our hearts that He died for us and we are made right with God. We have God's righteousness. Jesus took our sin, he took our grief, and we got his righteousness. God doesn't look at our sin and see our sin. He sees Jesus' blood. He sees the sacrifice that Jesus paid. That's the deal. That's what we're talking about. And that's freedom. That's going to give you peace, joy, and hope. And so please, let's share that with everyone in our lives. Okay, so I'm Pastor Fred. This is the Follow Through. Hit that subscribe button, share this with somebody, and we'll be back tomorrow. Yep, that's right. We're going to keep on moving through Romans chapter 3. We'll see you then.